the final movie for today's show is Bruiser from 2000. So this one is about Henry, who is a guy who lets people walk all over him. His boss treats him like shit. His wife cheats on him, with his boss no less. His best friend steals from him. Yeah, he's quite the doormat. And then one day he wakes up without a face, and it just becomes a complete blank white face. And at that point, the vengeance begins. So look, this is a movie... Well, actually, the funny thing is, the very first time I saw this movie, or I can't even say the first time I saw it, but the first time I saw anything from this movie, I was flicking through channels on my cable, and I kind of stopped on this right at the scene where his... or just before the scene where a certain someone gets thrown out the window. So I started seeing it from the moment where she goes under the table. You can hear his voice, and he's kind of batting chairs, and probably the creepiest part of the movie. Not that it's a creepy movie, but and probably the most slashery type moment in the movie, I guess. At least moment. So, I mean, if there's any scene that you want to start with, maybe that scene is the best one. But look, overall, I actually do somewhat enjoy this movie, and I know a lot of people out there give it some hate, especially because it's a Romero movie, and they compare it to everything else he's done, which is pretty much mostly those zombie movies that he's done. And, you know, people are like, he should just stick to zombies or straight horror movies and not this kind of thriller character study type movie. But I personally enjoyed it, and I'll go through a number of different reasons why. But before I do, what have you got to say on this one?
Yeah, so I don't want to come across as too brusque about this. I will say I sort of hated this from beginning to end. I just hated it. And I think part of it is because it's not... It's like... There's horror elements, and there's like maybe you could argue mystery elements, there's comedy elements. For what... I have to say this. So the movie's an hour and 40 minutes long. I still have no idea what Bruiser means. Like, the name of the magazine. What's a bruiser? Am I missing something?
It bruises your dick?
Yeah, I that's the only thing that came to mind. But it just... I know. From everything we saw, it didn't seem like it was a nude magazine. It just seemed like it was just...
It's like a fashion type
thing. So,
yeah.
Like if it's like a Playboy type thing, it would make more sense. But
they must be to some extent. I like we don't really learn enough about the magazine to know what's in it, but I have a feeling like it's somewhat at least soft pornish type.
Well, we do know enough about the owner of the magazine though to know it should be shut down, because that guy, now it's an actor I'm not particularly familiar with. Peter
Stormare.
Yeah. And you have some interesting things to say about him, I'm sure, on, shall we say, his equipment. But, his character, I don't understand it at all. It's like some rich guy who sleeps with every woman he can't. I mean, I get it. I've seen characters like that before, but this guy takes it to like 11. And I think it's part of the problem. I don't understand any of these characters. I don't understand the main character. Like, he sees his wife cheating on him with his spouse, and he doesn't react at the time, which I can understand, but just divorce her. Like, it's not hard. Like, but over 50% of people in this country get divorced. You can do it. Just do it.
I think it's more of a money thing, but you know, that's what they play up in the film, because you know she's gonna take him for all his money. And
yeah, I have to say that I think happiness is probably more important than money, and this guy's neither, apparently. And I don't know, I didn't understand any of these characters. I feel like this movie was trying to not necessarily teach us something, but it had a bit of a deeper thing going on. I don't get the whole white face thing. I mean, it's not like he had an identity killing people. I guess he was finally standing up for himself, but I mean, I just hated this. There's some interesting things going on, and hey, it had Misfits in it on the side note if you happen to know that band. But this is admittedly a struggle to get through. It had a few interesting scenes, and some of them I thought were okay, but overall I just had difficulty with this one.
Well, okay. Well, I've got a number of different things to talk about here. Okay, first we'll talk about Peter Stormare. Now, he is actually quite well known, I think. He's been in a lot of, or he's had some decent roles in some movies.
And actually, I'm sorry, I just now noticed he is in Fargo, and I have seen Fargo, so I knew I sort of recognized the face, but I didn't click into it just now. So
he plays a few notable appearances or performances. He is in The Big Lebowski. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that movie. But he does play a pretty amusing character in that one. He's in the movie Clown. He's the keeper of the clown suit or whatever it was. I can't recall now. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. Or the brother of whoever originally owned that clown suit. And he's also got his own character in a video game. If you've ever seen or played Until Dawn, he plays the psychologist type character that pops up every now and then throughout that game. And not just the voice, I actually have him in the game. So if you haven't played that, I recommend it, especially if you're a horror fan. And just one last thing while we're on Peter Stormare. Well, actually, still a couple more things. Now, there is a scene earlier in the movie where, he's a major dick, and at some point he actually flashes his equipment. And so just, if there's anyone out there looking to see Peter Stormare's dick, you can see it if you pause at the right moment.
And of course, Chucky knows the exact moment he should be past it.
Yeah, it's like 11 minutes, 36 seconds. I don't know, I just threw that number out, I don't know.
I'm sure you did.
But it's early, it's very early in the movie. I guess one other thing, which I just found amusing, look, he might play it a little over the top, I guess, but he is still amusing to some degree and also annoying to some degree. Like the scene where he's out on the streets and the cops are talking to him. They're kind of just looking at him weird because he has no pants on, which is kind of funny. But also towards the end, like there's a moment where he's having sex with some woman in a Portaloo type thing, and Henry asks him something, and he's like, what do you think? I was having the shit of a lifetime. I don't know, it's just, there's some funny lines in the movie. But outside of his character, there's a couple of characters, it's nice to see Tom Atkins in the movie. Horror fans should be quite familiar with him from a number of different movies. I mean, I mostly identify him with Maniac Cop, but some people, throughout Night of the Creeps, Halloween 3, and all these other movies. My Bloody Valentine remake, I believe he was in that, if I recall correctly. So, he's one of those actors that you just like to see because he's involved in the genre so much. In addition to that, look, Jason Flemyng, who plays Henry, the lead character in the movie, I think he's a decent actor overall, but look, there's parts to this movie where I felt he did a good job and maybe didn't suit the role. I think he played the doormat type element pretty well. I don't think he quite sold the other aspect, the more vengeful side to the character. And that line towards the end, I stood up for myself. I don't know, that line just, it didn't work for me. Another amusing thing, I don't know if anyone has made this connection, but I call it the Spartacus ending, where everyone's kind of like, I'm Spartacus, I'm Spartacus, I'm Spartacus. And in this movie, it's all these people just jumping up saying, I'm the killer, or it's me.
That's another scene I did not much care for.
But you did touch on the Misfits. I actually have seen them live twice. Very enjoyable to watch live. And their involvement in this movie definitely helps my rating as well. I feel like if they weren't in the movie, my rating would go down. They're actually in the movie for like 10 plus minutes, and they actually play, I think, 4 different songs in the movie. A couple of them were actually written for this movie. And they did that in exchange for Romero directing one of their music videos. So them in the movie definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, so I think one of my issues with this movie, and I don't blame Romero for this. I mean, he can make whatever. I mean, he's deceased now, but anybody can make whatever movies they want to make. That's fine. I don't judge them for that. But this movie seemed all over the place. Like I said, it has a bit of thriller elements. It has a bit of slasher-esque elements. It has a bit of comedy thrown. Like the ending. I hated the ending so much. Like, incredibly hated it. Like, if you had to rate just the ending, it's like a -10. So, they threw a hodgepodge of different things into an hour and 40-minute movie. And some of it was okay, but for the most part, it's mixed in with people I don't understand in a society I don't understand, doing things I just don't get. And it's a hard movie for me to even come close to relating to. Like, even like the radio show the guy's listening to, like a shock jock type guy, I don't see the entertainment value in that. It didn't click, which I guess is the basic problem with this movie. Nothing in this movie clicked for me, which, may say more about me than it would about the movie. I'm okay with that, but I just know that it's not quite anything I was particularly looking for. So it was interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, so look, I definitely get why people may not enjoy this movie. I think it does have its problems, but they're problems that I tend to forgive, and I still enjoy this movie. And, some of that is just some of the awkward characters, especially Peter Stormare. I don't know. I just like it. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, and I await your very intense rating for this one.
I don't know if this is the worst movie of the night. It's hard to be a worst movie of the night during the same show that you do Paranormal Activity too. But actually, yeah, I think this is a bit worse. Like I said, it's really hard for me to enjoy a movie when I just don't get it. And the best example I can come up with is Only God Forgives. I have a feeling there's more to Only God Forgives than I got, and I hated that movie so much. And I have a feeling it's a sort of similar thing here. This is trying to tell us something about identity and something that just didn't click with me. And it might have made an interesting character drama type thing on like Lifetime or something, but it didn't work for me. So I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10, mainly because I like that scene where he confronted his friend in the tennis racket club. I enjoyed that. The friend was a bit of a dick. I mean, he seemed like an okayish guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just stealing thousands of dollars from you, sorry, bro." Like, I mean, everybody in this guy's life is a dick apparently, but besides the woman, but then the woman, I don't know, it's just, I had not a good time. I'll just leave it at that. So 4 out of 10 seems, I mean, hey, it's not the Greasy Strangler, so take that as you will.
Did you enjoy the ending, the Take on Me ending?
I am going to lean toward not particularly.
Okay.